Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? It's Giuseppe here from CleanCloud. Head of training and enablement here at CleanCloud, Giuseppe. You might know me from previous webinars. If this is the first time seeing me, it's good to meet you. It's good to have you here on this webinar as part of our Everboarding series. Today's webinar, the topic is about maximizing your pickup and delivery service. I'm joined today also by my colleague Leonard, who you also might be familiar with for any of you who have gone through, of course, the onboarding phase. So Leonard is our onboarding team lead. So thank you, Leonard, for joining me. Leonard is going to be helping out on the chat in terms of, answering any questions you may have as I go along also with the presentation. This will really help. So I'll also try and take breaks in between each topic so that we can also try to address your questions in the best way possible, of course. So hopefully you can hear me well. So feel free to also say hello in the chat. For instance, just say, hello, where you're from. It's always good to see so many of you from so many different parts of the world. So it's a pleasure to be your host today as well. And of course, this webinar is being recorded, so that recording will be shared with you automatically to your email once the webinar has finished. If any of you are having any difficulties in terms of finding the webinar recording afterwards, we also tend to add these to YouTube, so we can also send you a YouTube link if you reach out to us otherwise. But regardless, because you signed up to this webinar and because you're here, you will get the recording. Of course, as mentioned, if you have any questions, put them in the chat box and we will do our best to respond. It's great to have you here. It's great to be your host, as mentioned. And here's the topics that we will be covering today. So we're going to be looking at leveraging repeat pickups and business accounts, express and super express delivery, streamlining your route setup, maximizing revenue outside your zone, the all new CleanCloud driver app, which is probably the topic you might be the most excited about. So we'll also give you a demonstration regarding this new CleanCloud driver app, and a lot of information, of course, will be shared with you about it. Going into a little bit more detail regarding the topics that we're going to be covering today. So as you can see here, leveraging repeat pickups and business accounts, we consider this to be a very useful way to gain more business. And so we will be covering how to set up repeat pickups, how to create an opt-in or opt-out, even as an option for opting people in for your repeat pickups or opting out. We'll get into more detail, though, when I start sharing my screen and showing you everything about it. You can also do more things with repeat pickups because you can create incentives, discount schemes. You can create a custom price list and assign it to anybody who would go and place repeat pickups. And so, you can do things like that. You can also, of course, try to leverage business accounts, which are a very powerful source of revenue for a lot of businesses that are using CleanCloud as well. So we do also recommend being in touch with, or trying, to make agreements with businesses, hotels, restaurants, spas, just to name a few. And then you can set custom pricing for them. And of course, what you would mostly do with business accounts is then invoice them. For instance, a very popular way of doing this is on a monthly basis. So what else do we have? So there's also going to be, of course, express and super express delivery. So you can create faster turnarounds and also put those faster turnarounds at a higher price point. So we'll go over those together as well. And we then have, of course, streamlining your route setup. So this really is a powerful tool because you might have neighborhoods around you which you want to target, and you want to maybe set a higher minimum amount or a higher delivery fee for. So we'll go over that together. And not only that, you might have people that have tried to sign up with you and place an order, but they might be outside of your typical service area. And so this is where you can retarget those out of zone customers as well and create a route that is for them. So we'll go over that as well. And then, of course, inside the driver app. So this is our brand new driver app. We'll show you what is new, how it looks like, and go through some information, of course, related to the driver app. So with that being said, of course, this is then how to download it. We'll go through that also later. We also have an article about this as well that Leonard will be sharing with you. But I think let's just, in fact, go to the beginning, which is leveraging repeat pickups and business accounts, I will be, as always, sharing my screen with you, and we'll go through that together. So if anybody has any questions or doubts, of course, feel free to put them in the chat. We will try to answer them as quickly as we can. Well, Leonard will try to answer them as quickly as he can. But like I said, at the end of each major topic, I'll also take a brief pause so that we can also try to address your questions in that manner as well. So if you even wanted to leave your topics to the end, to your questions, sorry, to the end of each topic, you can also do that, however you prefer. Awesome. So let's pretty much get into repeat pickups and business accounts. Apologies, I'm using a couple or a few different screens today to go through some stuff. But basically, we'll start by going into leveraging repeat pickups and business accounts together. So what I'll do is I will start to share my screen with you. And of course, as always, feel free to let me know then if you can see it. So I'm just going to start sharing right now. And then what we want to do is we want to pin this as well. So add to stream and put in spotlight. So I believe you should be able to see my screen. Leonard, if you can confirm, but I believe that you can. Is that correct? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, all good.
Awesome. I will also maybe try to get rid of this so that we can see the screen a bit better. But hopefully you can see everything and everything is looking good. So let's have a look at repeat pickups. How do they work, right? Let's start by going into that topic. So what you can do is you can select a customer and you can go into their profile, or you can click on that edit pencil. And you have an area here called pickups, right? And this is where you can then create a so-called regular pickup. Now, when you're doing this, you want to first choose the day, right? So let's say, for instance, we want to choose tomorrow for the first pickup. We want to set the time. So let's just say 11 a.m. to midday. And then what we want to set is the frequency. So we could say, for example, it's going to happen Wednesday is the first pickup. It will be happening every week until canceled, right? So it's going to happen every week until I otherwise cancel it. And then I would also, in this case, probably want to set a delivery date in advance. And so here I could say, for example, we're going to be delivering 2 days after every week, right? So we pick up every Wednesday, we deliver every Friday. And we're going to also set the turnaround here for the, we'll set the time for when we will deliver it. So we're going to deliver it back on Friday, 11 a.m. to midday. We can also, by the way, set a repeat tip. So if you have an agreement with this account that you're setting a regular pickup for, you can also set a repeat tip. You can do this here. You can set it also as a percentage if you prefer, or as a fixed dollar amount. And then you have this here, which is where it says type. So in type, by default, it says auto create order 24 hours before. Now, if you know that you're going to be going to pick up every week on this day, on this time, you don't need this account or this customer or this business account to confirm every week. Then you can just set it up with this default. However, what you might prefer, and what we also recommend, is we have this option, or two options, in fact. One is to just create the order first and then send an automatic SMS to the customer, allowing them to opt out. So what this means is you're sending them basically a message after the order's been created, and you're letting them know, hey, you know, we've got your order going on for tomorrow. However, you have the option to opt out, right? Or we can also do the opposite of this, which is to say, we are going to ask you first, right, if you want the order this week, and only if, let's say, you answer with yes, we will then add you, right, to the pickup for that week. So you've got two different options. You can either just have the order created and allow the customer to opt out, or you can ask the customer if they want to be opted in for the pickup that week, and then only if they reply, for instance, with yes, then they will have an order scheduled for that week. But when you choose this option, you can also say, okay, well, I'm going to send this SMS 1 day in advance or 2 days in advance. You can choose whichever option you prefer from here. And once you've got all the information here entered correctly, you can go and click on the submit button. Now, there is, though, something to mention about this way of setting up with the opt-in and opt-out method with SMS. This is actually only currently available in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. If you are based in the United States, you do need to also have a custom phone number set up. Now, some of you might already have this, but if you don't have it, not to worry. We will be sending you an article not only about repeat pickups in terms of opting in via SMS or opting out via SMS, but also about how to get a custom phone number as well. Because if you're interested in this feature, then by all means, right, you can then take advantage of it. It's just that if you're based in the United States, a reminder, of course, is that you do need to have a custom phone number set up for your business. Again, there will be articles provided to you by Leonard giving you more information on these topics. But ultimately, this is how you set up that regular pickup. You then, once you've got all the information here, you can click on submit, and now you've created that repeat pickup successfully. So that's what you can do. You can create these repeat pickups for these customers, right? And you have those orders locked in. This is a great source of revenue, of course, because you just know every week that you have these orders coming in. So try to, forge these agreements with these customers, with these businesses, and so on, so that you have a regular source of income coming in. Another thing is, and a great incentive regarding repeat pickups is also related to some elements of setup that you can also take into consideration. So, for example, in our admin section, if I go to admin, pickup and delivery and general settings, there's a couple of options here at your disposal. Now, one of these options is this here, where it says repeat pickups price list. So you could, for example, create a custom price list specifically dedicated to customers of yours that would go and place a repeat pickup, right? So for instance, let's say I want to go to my products page, and I want to go here where it says default price list, and I want to create a new prices. As you can see, I already have like a repeat pickups custom prices, but let's just say I'm going to create one quickly, right? I'm going to put it in all caps. I'm going to call it repeat pickup and delivery. And let's say that I want to put this as a 10% discount. Now, the way to do this, so all prices will be discounted by 10% for anybody who signs up then on that repeat pickup. Now, what I can do is I can put 0.9 here. This means it will discount all the prices by 10%, right? The logic here, by the way, in case you're curious, is 0.9 is 10% off, 0.8 is 20% off, 0.7 is 30% off. So you can basically determine how much you want to give as a discount for anybody who would go and place that repeat pickup and delivery order. Once you've created your price list, you've got it here, as you can see, repeat pickup and delivery. What I can do is I can assign it, right? I can assign it to the repeat pickup option. So I go to admin, pickup and delivery, general settings, and I can make that the new default, right? Then when you choose that option here, so when you've created the price list, you've assigned it to your repeat pickups price list option here in your general settings, you can then put sort of some text here to explain what are they going to get. So here, for instance, I've already written, you get 10% off your orders by becoming a repeat customer, right? And they're going to see this, by the way. So let me save this, and I want to show you, in fact, how this will work. I'm just going to refresh this. So this is the booking tool. Let's say the customer goes online, they're placing an order through your website. What will happen is you can see this here, right? Make it regular. You get 10% off your orders by becoming a repeat customer, and they can then choose, every week, every 2, every 3, every 4 weeks. So very powerful tool, great incentive to get people on the repeat pickup scheme, let's say. So you can use this to your advantage. And another thing about this, by the way, is let's just go back to admin, pickup and delivery. But another thing you can do is for people that specifically that would be going to place their repeat pickup orders online with you, right? Maybe they would go and do that through your website or through the CleanCloud app or through your branded app. You can also set a default action. So if they were to sign up to repeat, they would go and place a repeat pickup and delivery order. Do I want the order to just be created 24 hours before every week, for example? Or do I want to make the default that the order is created, but they can opt out? So you can set your default for this repeat pickup and delivery order flow. for those, of course, those customers that go to place their repeat pickup order online with you via your website or via the CleanCloud app or the branded app that you may have. So keep this in mind. Another option at your disposal that we covered, I believe it was in the last webinar, but a good one to mention briefly since we are on this topic, is the discount scheme for repeat pickup orders, right? So what you can also do is you can enable this, and this is where you could say, okay, well, anybody that would be going on the repeat pickup or going to place a repeat pickup, they'll get 5% off. And I want to make sure that they get 20% off. So from repeat pickup order 5, and then the discounts would stop after order 10, for example, right? So you could put this in here, you could fill the criteria here, however you prefer. And once you've set this up, you can also then hit submit to save this, right? So I'm just gonna show you what that also would look like. So we're going to go here again. We're going to refresh since we've made some changes. But as you can see here, right, save 5% for the first 4 orders and 20% for your next 6 orders, right? And so again, a great incentive to get customers on this repeat pickup scheme, just to lock those customers in and try to keep them as recurring customers, which is, of course, going to be a powerful source of revenue for your business, right? So feel free to take advantage of these options. Just a couple more things before I take a quick break and see what questions are coming in. But we always try to recommend as much as possible that you try to forge agreements with businesses such as, hotels, spas, restaurants, and so on, because that, again, is going to be a powerful source of revenue. So if you do then need to go and create a business account, if you do then need to go and invoice these business accounts, let's have just a quick look at how you can actually do that. So first things first is when it comes to business accounts, you can go to your admin section, you can go to your payments and finances area, and you can click on business accounts here. Now, this is where you can go and add the business account here, right? So you go here, you add the business account. So let's just say we're going to call this spa, I don't know, resort. I don't know. We can just give it any name. We put an email in here, for instance. We can add anything else we need to, right? Phone number, address, and so on and so forth. We can add a discount option. One thing, though, that's very good if you're going to be adding someone as a business account is you want to probably set the default payment method to invoice on account, right? So that means that your staff are going to be less likely to make a mistake and choose the wrong payment option, right? Because if this business account needs to be invoiced, we don't want the staff to make a mistake and try to charge this customer, for the singular order they're placing, right? We just want to invoice them for all of their orders, perhaps, the following month. So invoice on account is definitely a good option to enable. Another thing is, of course, you can exclude people from loyalty points. And as we saw a moment ago, where you can go and create custom price lists, you can also tie a custom price list to a business, right? So if you need to do this, you can tie a custom price list to a business account. And then once you've filled out the information, you can click on submit. Think of it, though, when it comes to business accounts, a business account in CleanCloud is just like an entity, right? It's an entity, and you need to tie individuals to that entity. What do I mean by that? I mean only customers, and I repeat, only customers can place orders in CleanCloud. So in this case, I need to make sure that if I'm working with a business account, I have a customer to add to the business account. Now, you might be saying, well, actually, with this spa, I'm only really going to be talking to one person, or only one person is going to be putting the orders in. So I don't need multiple customer accounts here. What you can do in that case is you can just basically have the customer with the same name as the business. For example, spa resort, right? Some people, though, it really depends on the setup you have. Some people like to have the names of each individual placing the order, right? So you can create the custom with the name and then tie them to the business account. But some people say, well, actually, I'm only dealing with one person anyway, so I'm going to also name the customer in the same way I name the business account. So for instance, I could say, spa resort, I can add, phone number and so on, and I can tie them to the business from here, right? As you can see. So, feel free to do this. And when you've done that, so let me just remove from marketing. But then as you can see, I've tied them now to the business. I created a customer, I tied them to the business, and this then allows me to place an order. I'll just show you quickly regarding invoicing how this works, right? I'm going to just create a couple of dummy orders and then show you what it looks like when you invoice, the business, for example. So I'm just going to add, random items in here for now. It doesn't really matter what I select as long as we have, I think, a couple of orders here. So I'm just going to quickly try to get this done. Bear with me. So invoice, we're going to place one order in. And then I'm going to just add, in fact, another order as well, because why not? We're going to add a couple of items here, submit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly move these over to the ready page, because this is where they need to usually be for me to then find those orders when I want to invoice the business, right? So I have these orders here, right? 750 and 751 are both on the ready page, right? So let's say I want to invoice the spa now. I can go to the invoice page here. So 3 lines top left, invoice. I can go to new invoice at the top right. And here, let's say I want to create a monthly invoice, right? So I'm going to create a monthly invoice and I'm going to choose July 2026 and I can filter by business, right? So I can select the business account, in this case, the spa resort. And as you can see, right, I get a preview. I get to see the orders, what was included in those orders. I can also, add a discount if I wanted to from here. If you prefer to do it this way, you can. It's a nice thing to do it this way, actually, because it highlights very clearly what is the discount that they are getting, right? But then I can simply create the invoice. So what happens when you manually create an invoice like this is that you will be able to, for example, view it, right? So as you can see here, it's got your logo on it, it's got your store information, it's got all the information regarding the orders, in this case, of the spa. And you can then even choose to email it across to the customer. And if any of you are using our one of our integrated payment options, for instance, CleanCloud Pay, Clearant, again, also, the payment integration options are available depending on the country you're in. But if you have a payment integration set up and you email the invoice to the business or to the customer, then the great news is that they will have a payment link to pay for the invoice by card. So it's a very, very useful thing to know and very effective. Quick other thing about invoices that I think is worth mentioning as well is if you have an agreement, for example, with a business account, then what you can also do is you can set up a repeating invoice. Now, this option, though, is only available for those of you that are on at least our Grow subscription plan. So either Grow or Grow Plus subscription plan. And this is an extremely powerful tool, because what it allows you to do is you could say, okay, I want to send an invoice out to this business or these businesses, right? I can choose multiple. I want an invoice to be created out on the first day, created on the first day of each month. They will have 14 days to pay that invoice. I will give them an automatic 10% discount. I want this to be automatically emailed to them. Now, if you have an agreement also with this business account that they're just happy to be charged and they don't need to even really check the invoice prior to that, you can also put auto charge safeguard. But if not, if it automatically emails it, remember, it will include a payment link so that the business in this case can check the invoice, click on a payment link and pay for it, right? So just something good to know. Another thing to point out here is that when I'm setting up a repeat monthly invoice in this case, I am saying in this case, okay, create the invoice automatically on the first day of each month. So in this case, on the 1st of August, there would be an invoice created for the spa resort, right? But that would then include all orders from the prior month, right? So even if, for example, I chose the 6th or the 5th day of the month to create the invoices automatically on, just bear in mind that the invoice will include only the prior month's orders. So not up until the 5th, right? It will just include the prior month's orders. But then you can create these schedules, let CleanCloud handle the rest, let it create these repeat invoices and send them automatically to the business. So again, a really useful, really powerful tool, and a tool that will end up saving you so much time. So something to consider if you end up working with quite a few business accounts. Instead of going in each month and creating them manually each month, you do have this option if you are on our Grow or Grow Plus subscription plans. So just wanted to point that out to you. Hopefully so far, everything has made sense. But of course, we can check on that now and see if there are any questions or doubts. I'll stop sharing my screen just for a moment. Leonard, how are we getting along in terms of questions?
I just got a couple in there. That Nicholas is wondering about an opt-in and opt-out message. So that way you could just send out like, hey, we're heading out on Tuesday. Anyone want to pick up and delivery order? And then they could say yes. And then that would create automatically, which we just don't have at the moment, not an automated version. I do have people that will have created like an auto campaign. If they're on Grow, send out that message, but then the staff has to manually go in and create the order. It's just not automated yet at this point.
Well, with the option that I just went over, unless apologies if I otherwise am misunderstanding, right? Because we have the option that requires confirmation, right, every week, so that then the order is added, the individual order is added for that week, right? Am I missing something? Could that not work in this case? Because I could send an SMS automatically 1 day before, 2 days before, and ask them if that week, I want if they want the order or not, and then as long as they say yes, then that order would be added onto the list, let's say.
I think this is more for customers that aren't on repeat pickups, but they're customers that you would want to see if they just wanted an order this week. So they're not already created as repeat orders. They're basically, okay, I have 50 customers in this route, and I just want to send them a message, just say, hey, we're in the area. Did you want an order? On Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because it has elements that kind of cross over with what I mentioned, right? Like you could, in theory, ask them every Tuesday, right? If the customer wanted, a pickup for Wednesday, for example, right? The order wouldn't be added automatically; it would require their confirmation. So there is that as an option, of course, right? It's not just going to automatically create the order; it will always prompt, the customer to confirm. But as you said, there is also another tool at our disposal, which is, for instance, like an automated campaign, whereby we can target, every customer in a route specifically, and then, send them a message with the content that we decide, and we can send them an SMS, we can send them an email. Now, the only thing, of course, in that case is that they would need to be opted into marketing, right? They would have to be opted into marketing for them to receive that message. And the other thing is that, unlike what I showed a moment ago, is that if the customer were to get that message, if you were to sort of send it via our automated campaigns tool, yes, you could see the response, right? But then you'd have to manually go and create that order, right? Whereas with this tool, yes, you can ask them every week automatically, and as long as they say yes, we'll add them, and if for that week. If not, it wouldn't, right? So it really depends. I think the tool I showed will be the best one for this case, if that's all right, I guess, if that would work. But there is an option with the automated campaigns as well to kind of achieve that, let's say.
Yeah, I just know that we have talked about it because it's came up before where other customers are, just sending out a Monday message. Hey, everyone on, Route 1, we're out and about, did you want to pick up today? And then people say yes, it auto creates an order. So then the driver can just go pick it up and it's auto created. I think that's really the last piece of the puzzle, is just to let it auto create instead of having to have staff go in and manually create the orders for the customer, or have the driver, create the order on the driver app or something like that.
Right, but what I've also seen is that, and again, I could be wrong here, but from what I've seen, a lot of people will want a message to go out on the same day, right? Because they know, for instance, that let's say on Tuesday I'm in a specific area, right? So if I know I'm going to be in a specific area, well, maybe then on Monday every week I want to send out. Now, yes, would I have to go and create the sort of the repeat pickup flow that we just sort of went over for every customer. Yes, I would have to, but I would have to only do that once, right? And then every week on the Monday, it will ask all the customers that have been added into that repeat pickup flow, hey, do you want an order this week, right? And only if they say yes, then it will add them for that Tuesday in that case, right? So I think that would be a good way to kind of go about this, really, because again, the thing with the automated campaign method is, like you said, yes, I can target people all in a specific route, I can send them the messages and so on, but am I going to be reaching as many people as I want to? Probably not, just because not everyone will have opted into marketing, right? And so that is something to consider. I would use this method that we just went over. So it means that they'll be opted out by default, and only if they reply to the message with yes, will they be opted in, right? So that's the one I think that you can use in this case, because again, I see most people will go out on the same day each week, and they will want a message to go out the day prior. So I think that could be the best way to go about it, basically, right? I think the automated campaigns way of going about it isn't as effective, right? All right, well, with that being said, let's have a look at some other questions. And then let me see, where were you, in fact, Leonard, in terms of the questions? Maybe we can take it from there.
Yeah, I think we're on Ian. Ian, you have a business, a cleaning company that wants separate invoices each month for individual Airbnbs. So what you're saying is it's one company, but they need separate invoices for each Airbnb.
Got it.
You're saying?
Yes. Yes. I think I have an answer for that, actually. It's an interesting one. I have been doing setups of this with some of our clients. What you want to do in this case, Ian, is you can actually create, because these Airbnbs you might have like a name for them, let's say, right? Maybe that's just the address, or maybe you refer to the unit in a certain way, right? But you can actually add those units as customers. So don't forget that. You could have, for example, let's just say Airbnb as the business account, right? Unit 1 is the name of the customer, and then you have the address. Unit 2 is the name of the other customer, and the address, and so on. And if you then tie, yes, you would have to set them up as customers, right? But when you do that, the great thing is then if you send, for example, then if you want them all to be tied to that central Airbnb business account, but you still want to send separate invoices, you will be able to do that. Let me give you a quick example, actually, of that, because maybe with me just kind of explaining it in this way, it's not as straightforward, right? But I should have some examples even on my screen of this. This is my test account where I do 1 million+ things with. So let's have a look. So you can even see here, like Unit 1, Unit 2, right? Like you can kind of have these listed as even customers, right? And these then could be tied. Let me actually X out of this quickly. Okay. And then these can be tied to a business account, as you can see here, right? So the good thing about this is that when you then, for example, create orders, right? Let me just quickly add, an order for Unit 1. We're going to put the invoice option, and we're going to also create one for Unit 2. Let me just double check if yes, they are. Okay, they're on a business account. We're just going to choose anything here for the time being. But the great thing about this is that, yes, they are tied maybe to the same business account, but I can absolutely still create separate invoices, right? Like there's nothing wrong with me doing that. So for instance, let's go to invoice, new invoice. We're going to create a monthly invoice, for example, July, and we're going to now just choose the customer. You can see, right? Yes, this unit is tied to a business account, but in this case, I've chosen to invoice the customer, which in this case is just one of those Airbnb units, right? So you can still do that while still having them tied to the central business account. Yeah. So I hope that made sense. Okay. Hopefully that helped, Ian. Can you be able to send a payment link for one-time invoice? So Mike, that's actually just that email button that you saw before when you create an invoice. There's an email button. You can click on that, and then that payment link will be already included in the email that will be sent to them, right? So when you create an invoice, there's an email button right next to it once created. Click on that button, email sent with the invoice attached and a link to pay for it. Awesome. Leonard, let's see. So there was also, you answered Ivy, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay. Evan, with the invoice, I see there's a sales tax. Are they being taxed twice? When they bring in their items, the sales tax is already added. So no, the sales tax will just be a total based on the orders they had, right? So they wouldn't be taxed twice. So not to worry about that. So it just kind of shows them the aggregate sales tax across all those orders on that invoice, basically. Lady Anna, hey, Lady Anna. Good to see you here. So can I generate a payment link for pickup and delivery route just like it does for business? I don't know if I get exactly what you mean. However, if you, let's say, have any customers on a, that have an order for pickup and delivery, usually and ideally they would have the card on file, and, our usual recommendation is that those people just get charged automatically, right? And that usually would happen once their orders have been cleaned. But if that was not the case, when the order of that customer gets marked as cleaned, if it is still unpaid, the customer will have an option still to pay for that individual order. In fact, they'll have that option not only in the app or the website and so on where they place the order, they'll be able to pay for it on their end once that order is cleaned. But even in a notification you can send once an order has been cleaned, there will also be a payment link there. So there are a couple of options, but the best recommendation is if you have the card on file of that customer, and as long as you've marked the order as cleaned, it will just automatically charge them. Awesome. Okay, so next one, fresh cycle. So you can add that to all customers and ask if they want the pickup, and if they say yes, it will create the order. That is exactly it. Exactly. As mentioned, there's just that kind of initial boring part of having to create those, let's say, repeat pickups, right? In the way I showed. But once you've done that, then every week you can just ask that customer, hey, do you want the pickup for this week, right? And so you're just basically setting a scheduler almost, right? You're setting a scheduler for it to reach out to those customers to ask them if they want to pick up for this week, right? So yes. Nice, Nicholas. Good to see you here as well. Ivy, is there a way to set a different minimum amount for different pickup and delivery customers? Yes, there is. There is a way of doing that, which is actually something that we'll get into in the third slide. So it's only done, or it's only possible to do by route. So we'll get into that, Ivy, not to worry. Perfect. Andrew, great to hear. That's also how you're doing it. Screen sharing is not working. Oh, did anybody manage to see what I showed before? Or Leonard, were you even? Guys, if you can let me know if you need me to show that Airbnb unit option again, please do, because I'm more than happy to do so.
I pinned it after I realized it wasn't sharing, but I don't know how much was missed.
Okay, so maybe let's quickly get some confirmation. Chris, Harry, Dilip, is there? Did you manage to see that in the end, or do you need me to quickly reshare my screen on that? I'm apologize for that in case you weren't able to fully grasp that due to the lack of clarity on the screen share there. I'll wait for you to answer on that one. So then Ken, in the meantime, yes, all good, lovely. You didn't see. Okay, well, I will reshare then. I will reshare. So let's just get that right. So entire screen share. What we want to do in this case is add to the stream and pin it. Okay, so I believe that now you should be able to see it. Yeah. So hopefully you can see. Leonard, please let me know just in case, because I have to get rid of the chat thing since it covers my whole screen otherwise.
Yeah, it's there.
Perfect. Okay, great. So guys, you add the unit as a customer. Basically, that's all you do, right? So if I have Airbnb as the business account, right? Which again, I'll just show that quickly. Admin. So you want to first add the business account, admin payments and finances, business accounts, right? As you can even see here, I have an Airbnb added. So you add the business account. You can name it how you want to, Airbnb, whatever you want it to be, right? Hit submit to save that business account, right? And then if I want to tie units to it, I just basically name the units as customers, right? So an example could be, I can even just add a new one. I'll call it unit A, right? And unit A, I'm going to tie to Airbnb, for example, right? I want to put, of course, the address here, especially if you're going to be using the driver app for route navigation and so on. Add the address in, of course, don't forget. And then, you now have a customer unit A that's tied to that business account. And then I can do the same for unit B, right? So unit B, and also in this case, I'm going to tie them to the business account, right? And so you can just use this method. And let me just quickly select no here. And then, right, I can place orders for unit A and unit B and so on. And then I can just invoice that, either the individual units, or if depending on the kind of agreement you have with this business account, or you can just send an invoice to the Airbnb business account where it will highlight the orders for unit A and unit B, right? It really depends. Remember, though, that unit A and unit B in this case need to be added as customers, and that you can invoice specifically unit A and unit B from the invoice page. So you don't have to invoice the business account directly. If you just want to send an invoice for unit A, then you would go and click on invoice and then new invoice, and you would just try to find the customer to invoice, in this case the unit, right? So that's basically the idea there. Yeah, let me know if that made sense. Hopefully it did. Let's have a look. Yeah, did that make sense, everyone? Hopefully it did. Where else are we? So I saw a question from Ken. Is there any way for a business to pay all their open invoices with one credit card transaction, or do they have to pay each individual invoice? Well, they would have to pay for each individual invoice in that case, Ken, because it's like a locked or amount at that time. So when you create the invoice and you send it to the customer, it's locked, almost waiting for payment. The good thing, though, is actually I'll show you something related to this to help you for those customers that are perhaps dragging their feet a bit when it comes to paying off that invoice. I'll show you an option at your disposal that you might like as well, which is so admin, payments and finances, invoices. So you can just set a default here for how long they have to pay that invoice, right? So let's say it's 14 days. And then you can then also send overdue payment reminders as well, right? So if I want to send every 7 days, for example, you can set that up too, right? And so feel free to keep that as, or enable that as an option as well, right? Leonard, what did you mean on that? Because the group invoices with payment, right? Right. Sorry. So there's, are you referring to, let me see here. I'm trying to see if I have actually two from the same person to pay off, but you could, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you can also just select from here, I guess, actually. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, there is also this as an option. My bad. I had forgotten about it. So yes, you can otherwise just select here with a check mark. So if you have invoices from the same customer, for instance, you could basically just select them from here. You could search for their name from here. Let me see. I probably have some. Yeah, as you can see, let's say these two test Giuseppe ones. I want to select both. Click on payment. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, I stopped sharing again. No, can you see? Can you guys see my screen?
No, you gotta pin it.
You can't.
You gotta pin it real quick.
Okay, sorry about that. Hold on. All right. So here, for example, guys, you can click on the specific invoices, select the check marks here, or put the check mark on these boxes, and then I can click on payment at the top, right? And then I can just choose the payment method. So if you actually do want to group invoice payments, my bad, you can do it in this way. What I did is I searched for the customer from here, so it was easier to then find that customer, right? As you can see, I chose test Giuseppe, and then I can go, select one, select two, payment, and now I can just group multiple payments from multiple invoices, yeah? So you do have that as an option. And then remember, of course, that if you even want to make sure that invoices are paid on time, admin, payments and finances, invoices, and you've got this option. So you're giving for each invoice you're creating 14 days for it to be paid, for example. And if they're overdue, then every 7 days, you're going to send them a reminder to pay for it, right? So you can use these options at your disposal. Of course, do not forget to click on that green submit button once you make these changes. Very important. Otherwise, none of the changes you've made will be saved. Okay. Hopefully that helps, guys. Let's have a look. How are we getting along? Let's see. Leonard, where are we, I guess?
I think we're down. Yeah, we did the minimum order. The linen rental one, I guess, is just not a. Yeah, so is there any way to use a system for managing linen rentals to B&Bs? I think that's about it at the end right there.
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, isn't it? Because like our system isn't fully designed to support linen rental exactly, Owen, because if you think about it, in most cases with linen rental, in fact, it works opposite in a way. For instance, you would be delivering first and then picking up after, right? Whereas our system is always pick up first and then deliver, right? So it's not the best when it comes to linen rental. There are still some of our clients that handle the linen rentals through our system, although we don't have exactly the fully sort of deployed architecture, should we say, or infrastructure for that type of order. But some people manage to just create these orders themselves as repeat orders. But again, it's just not ideal because again, the flow is usually deliver and then pick up, not pick up and then deliver usually. Awesome. Yes, Mahmoud, otherwise, when the order has been finished, the details of the order will always be there, right? So there will be always an outline of that. All right, moving on though, guys, because I know there's still plenty to cover. Let's get into the next slide, which is this Express and Super Express delivery. This is a very quick one to go through, actually. So I'll show you how this all works for those of you that aren't aware of this option. Some of you might already have this otherwise, which is awesome. Just careful, by the way, when it comes to Express and Super Express delivery, because some of you will have different turnarounds depending on the service, right? And the Express and Super Express can get a little bit tricky if you have that. So, for example, most people, let's say that I on board, will have the same turnaround for pickup and delivery, meaning regardless of the service, there's like a 2-day turnaround, for example, right? In that case, setting up Express and Super Express delivery is very easy. But if you have, for example, a 2-day turnaround for dry cleaning and laundry, but then a 7-day turnaround for alterations, Express and Super Express delivery can get a little bit more complex, let's say. So just to keep in mind, but with that in mind, at least I'll show you how this works. So I'm going to share my screen again. So share screen, entire screen, and I'm going to add this to the stream and pin it. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, hopefully. But the idea here is simply in admin pickup and delivery, you have here an option for pickup and delivery options. Okay, now what I want you guys to keep in mind here is basically what you want it. So let's say for this example, let's say that my usual turnaround is 2 days or 48 hours, right? Some of you would have 48 in here in this case, right? However, when you're setting up Express and Super Express, or just one of the Express options perhaps, what you want to do is put your minimum possible turnaround in this box. This is extremely important, okay? So, for example, let's say that I can sort of get an order ready in about the fastest time possible, my Super Express, would be to get it done in 6 hours, right? Now, in that case, I want to put the minimum possible here, 6, okay? Now, let's say anywhere from 6 to 24 hours, I'm going to set that either with a percentage or a fixed dollar amount. So if they want the delivery in the range of 6 to 24 hours, I'm going to charge, let's say 50% extra, right? If, on the other hand, let's say from 24 to 48 hours, let's say that would be, so we have Super Express configured 50% higher. So from 6 to 24 hours, it will be an extra 50%. From 24 to 48 hours, that'll be our Express, which is at 30%. So you can see there's like 2 tiers in this case, right? I've got my Super Express tier and my Express tier. But this, and this is the part to be very careful with, is you want to set it up in this type of way, right? Where the minimum possible amount of hours goes here, right? Not the other way around. Don't put 48 in here. You put 6 if that's the minimum possible turnaround. And you say 6 to 24 is 50% higher. 24 to 48 is 30% higher. Yeah. If you even wanted to screenshot this, remember, of course, you have the recording of this that will be sent to you automatically, but you can even screenshot this if you'd like. But this is, if you want to set this up, this is the way to do it. Remember, you have a percentage option and a fixed dollar amount option. Once you're done, click submit to save the changes, right? And then let's see this in action. So we're going to go now and refresh and okay, 1 second, guys. It's logged me out completely. So I'm going to just quickly show you what this then looks like. So what you can see here, guys, is that it's actually defaulted to my 48-hour turnaround, right? With what we've just set up, which is exactly what we want, right? But faster delivery is available for an additional fee. So if a customer really is desperate to get that order back as quickly as possible, they need it done as soon as possible, then they can go click on the delivery option and they can choose an earlier date, right? So they can choose a super express option, or if they're happy to get it on Thursday, they can choose the express option. It will show them, what the fees applied are. Okay, so this is basically super express and express. Let's see if you guys have any questions or doubts about that, or if we can swiftly move on. How are we doing, Leonard? I think all good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so next thing is streamlining your route setup. We're going to go over this now directly. I'm going to just share my screen again. This is really useful. I think this is a undervalued tool when it comes to increasing revenue for your business. So definitely one to look out for. So what can you do? You've got a couple of options or key options here at your disposal. Number one is in admin pickup and delivery routes, right? You can create a route specifically from here. So I go to add route. In this case, I'm just going to call it, new area. I'm going to create this route, new area. As you can see, it's here. Apologies again, I've got a million different routes on my account. 33, we're reaching quite the number. But if you go here to then view, you see this button view, and then add geofence. I could say, for example, let me just zoom out a bit. Let's say, I'm going to move over here. And let's just say that there's an area here, which is a very, rich neighborhood, right? Where there's lots of luxury mansions and villas and whatever it may be. And I want to create a route for those customers, right? That might make you think, okay, well, hold on. I'm going to perhaps go and, put some flyers out in that neighborhood, right? And I can advertise my pickup and delivery service to those customers in that area, right? So what you would do is you would draw up that area on the map. So let's say I'm going to click here, click again, click again, click again, and back to the starting point. Of course, once you've drawn a rough sketch of this area, you can also adjust it afterwards. Don't try to be perfect, by the way, on the first go when you do this. It will take you forever otherwise. So just put a rough sketch in first and then go and adjust it. You can just drag it out afterwards or pull it in. It's just so much easier to do it this way. Create a rough sketch first and adjust later, right? That's the best way to set this up. So let's say this is the sort of the luxury neighborhood that I want to target. I save the geofence of the route. I can then, of course, set time slots for this route as well. I can go here. I can choose my days. Let's say it's going to be Monday to Friday, and it's going to be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We can set that up as well. Now, the other key thing is that this is where I can also set up a custom delivery fee, a custom minimum amount, so that I can target these customers, and I can even set up a specific price list or even a specific repeat pickups price list. So don't underestimate how useful it is to have targeted route settings. I can assign a specific custom price list to this route, a specific custom price list for repeat pickups in this route, And I can assign a custom delivery fee and even a custom minimum amount. So I could say, well, for these customers, $55 is my minimum amount, and they're going to be on this, specific, price list, let's say, right? So you can use these tools to your advantage. Remember, before when we created a custom price list, we showed you how to set a discount on that custom price list, but you can even increase prices. Why not, right? There's always that option at your disposal. Again, just to quickly show you that, in products, and when you go to add a new price list, I could say, I don't know, luxury, for example, is the name of this price list, and I can add by 20% if, for example, I put 1.2. The logic here is 1.1 is 10% more, 1.2 is 20% more, 1.3 is 30% more. So I could say 1.2, I'm going to charge 20% more, add that price list in, it's been created, right? And then I can go to admin, I can go to pickup and delivery, I can go to route, and now that I've created that custom price list, why not assign it to this route, right? I could even have it combined with the $50 minimum amount, right? So not only will they pay 20% more, but I also have set the minimum amount higher than my usual default, right? So you could set this up and you could then save that, right? So these are some really powerful options at your disposal that you can use right away. Another thing is that when you have customers signing up, sometimes they'll be outside of your service area, and that's where this view out of service area button can really help you. So if you go to here again, it's in the routes area of admin, pickup and delivery routes. I can click on view out of service area, and it shows me everyone, right, that is in or is outside of my service area. And you might then start to realize, well, hold on, I have a lot of people in this specific area. Let me go and create a route, right? And then I can perhaps let these customers know, like, hey, we've just created a route. Feel free to go online and place an order with us, right? You can use our marketing tools to then communicate with them. So there is this information here for anybody that is outside of your service area. You can create a brand new route and then inform them, of course. So these are just some useful strategies to keep in mind. With that being said, I want to get into our last slide, which is about the brand new driver app. So that's what I'm excited to show you guys about. I'll have a quick look at some questions though, but I do want to get into the into the driver app stuff right away if possible. But hopefully that has made sense. This is the slide regarding the driver app though. So this is what we're going to look at: new pickup and delivery flow, improved location tracking, improved security, map view, expanded Epson support, dark mode, offline support for photo signature and completion, and even the ability to adjust the font size. So bear with me guys, because I'm going to have to share the screen on my phone to do this. So what we're going to do now is we'll share the screen. Leonard, if there's any issues, please let me know. Lovely. And have a look here. So, okay, guys, I believe you should be able to see my screen now, right? So regarding this driver app, this is the driver app view. I currently have it set in dark mode. We'll go into that in a moment and how you can set that up. Just a quick update on this though. So driver app, this brand new driver app, we have already rolled it out to 40% of those of you on Android. If any of you have any issues with this version, you want to go back to the prior driver app version, by the way, there is a way to do that, and Leonard can send you an article about that as well. But you can basically download a APK file, and then you can go back to the older driver app if you really need to. But the functionality should be very, very familiar to you, right? It is, in terms of functionality, it has what we had, and there's even more, right? So we'll go through that in just a moment. We haven't rolled it out fully, by the way, yet. So that's why I even said 40% of only Android users are already on it. And then we're going to be rolling it out fully for everybody in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So look out for that. But this is just a quick preview, right? There's a lot of things that you should already be familiar with. You can see your orders for today, as you can see here. The same thing as before. You can choose tomorrow plus 2 days, plus 3 days, and so on. Past due is there as well. And we've even added now a recently completed option. So this is a huge, we had a lot of requests about this because sometimes a driver has just finished an order and they want to see, okay, well, which ones did I recently complete? So we've even added this option to this new driver app. So going back to today, though, the functionality in terms of optimizing the orders, if you liked the way that you've always done it in terms of tapping the letters and then optimizing the route, you can go ahead and do that. You can set your default start point, end point. You can choose to optimize, of course, the route as always, right? You can accept as always, with in terms of the prior version of the driver app, it was the same. But you also have another option now, which is this map view. So you can click on this map option. I don't know if you can see at the top right corner of the screen. So if you prefer, you can basically just click on the map view, search for these orders, select them, and then, oh, it has, okay. That was not what I was expecting. Bear with me, guys. Hold on, let me just quickly stop sharing my screen for a moment. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what's happened there. All right, so I'll try to bring this back up. Bear with me, everyone. Okay. All right, so let me see here. Hopefully it works now. So as you can see, of course, this is still in beta. So let's go and do that. And I also have an iPhone. So let's see. Okay, let's try now. Okay, right. So I've selected those two orders, 743741, optimize, right? So I can even do it like this if I wanted to. So you don't have to optimize the way you've always optimized. You even have this new option on the map to do this as well. In terms of some other options that are at your disposal in this new driver app, right? We have, by the way, as part of this, improved location tracking. We will be also rolling out, some of you might have heard, our version 3 of CleanCloud. Now, currently everyone is on version 2 of CleanCloud, but in the coming weeks, I don't have an exact date just yet. We're doing a lot of internal testing. But on our version 3, when we release it, we'll announce it, of course, in the coming weeks. But there will be improved driver location tracking as well, which is something quite exciting. So hopefully that's something to look forward to for everyone here. This driver app also has, by the way, improved security. We just mentioned, of course, the map view. Let's have a look at some more options as well. There's a lot of things, again, that you would have already been used in the past. If you have multiple stores, you can still change store from here. You can clock in, clock out. There's statistics as well. How many pickups, deliveries have been done over, today, the last 7 days, last 30 days. You can even, for example, switch to plant mode for those of you that are using plant mode with the driver app. And as mentioned earlier on, we also have added more support for more printers. And Leonard has an article outlining which printers these are. But we have more support for more mobile printers as well, because these can be really useful, right? As you're going to pick up orders, having a quick way to identify those orders based on, for example, the amount of bags even that the customer has provided you, right? So we've added more printer options here. It's easier to also connect that mobile printer now. So you can even then, connect via Bluetooth, save it, print a test receipt as well. So very, very useful option. More printers supported in this version of the driver app as well. And then even in our settings, you can change from light mode to dark mode and so on, whichever one you prefer. You can configure the language, although it will just be automatic based on your phone settings, but you can change it if you need to. You can increase the font size, and then you'll be able to do some other things that you were able to do before, such as changing the map service you're tying to the navigation, and so on and so forth. You can choose to print the bag tags through the driver app mobile printer as well. Connect your payment terminal as well to this, provided, of course, that it's an integrated terminal, such as one from CleanCloud Pay, for instance. So these are some of the key options. But one very, very important thing also to mention is, as you guys go and let's say that you would, let me just see here. Let's select these visible optimized route. Bear with me, everyone. I wanted to show you something specific as well. But when you, let's say, have optimized your orders as well, and you now go to navigate to one order specifically, when you click on that accept and navigate, for instance, and it will open up Google Maps. And then you would go back into the driver app. Again, same flow you're used to, but you go back into the driver app to then review and then indicate, okay, how many bags were there? You could do this now. You could say, okay, there's 2 bags and 5 or 4 pieces. The driver can add a quick note as well, and they can take a signature and a photo. Now, the great thing about this, when it comes to the photo, the signature, and when it comes to completing the pickup, the really, really, really good news, guys, and a very popular feature request was that people wanted offline support for this, because sometimes your drivers will be going into a residential building where there is no signal. And so they were unable to take a picture to save it when it comes to the signature, the photo they were taking, or when it came to marking that order as completed. So even if the connection drops to the driver, they can still do that now, right? They will be able to do that with this new version of the driver app. They can take a photo, take a signature, mark it as, for example, picked up or delivered. And then once the driver app is back online, then it will update that information. But they can still, while they're offline, do all of that. So that's a really, really good advantage as well. Leonard, is there anything major otherwise I'm missing on this front, or how are we looking? I think we're all good, though.
I don't think so. I think it looks good.
Amazing. Fantastic, fantastic. I think with that being said then, I think that means that we're pretty much done with today's webinar. So hopefully you enjoyed also the driver app. We were very excited to, of course, launch it. You can see here more information on how to download the driver app beta. So for those of you on Android, you can find the driver app listing on Google Play, scroll down, and there's a join the beta box as well. But again, we've already rolled this out to 40% of users anyway, so just, of course, to keep in mind. But if you want to, if you're not already on this version, you can download the beta. And then for those of you on iOS, you need to have Test Flight downloaded on your phone. So you can download that from the App Store, and then you would be able to join the beta from there, provided, of course, that you've also then it will actually through Test Flight, it will prompt you then to download the driver app as well. So anyway, you can follow these instructions, download this brand new driver app. We hope you enjoy this new version also of the driver app. And we hope also you're excited for the launch of version 3 of CleanCloud, which again, will be coming in the coming weeks. We're doing a lot of internal testing. It's a massive release, right? It's a new version of CleanCloud. So, we want to make sure we get it right. So anyway, that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. As always, it's a pleasure to be your host, Leonard. And of course, for you, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here helping me out with the questions in the chat. So thank you so much for helping today. And then everyone, you'll get the recording. If you want to go back and rewatch this, you will have it. We will also be adding it to YouTube. So in case you can't find it in your email, you will be able to also request it from us, and we'll upload it to YouTube probably tomorrow. And thanks again for your time, everyone. We'll announce, of course, the next webinar, once we've got some things ready for it. And we're excited to see you then. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks again for your time, everyone, and see you at the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.